Good morning. Welcome back to Kay's in the Garden. I'm Kay, and this is my garden. All right, guys, good morning. It's about 7 o'clock this morning, and I decided to get out here really quick before I started work because it's supposed to rain today. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to get rain, but just in case I do, I want to benefit from it. So on today's video, we're going to be talking about our root knot nematodes. So I've decided to do 3 beds today, and that's the bed that had the banana peppers. We're going to do the okra bed, and we're going to do the bed where I move the peppers that's on Bedside Lane. I'm going to go ahead and amend that bed. The pepper plants really, they did have a few peppers, but it really didn't bounce back. I pulled one of them and the root system didn't look great. I didn't see root knot nematode, but the bed's pretty much empty. We did plant shelling peas there and they were coming up just fine. But since that bed is almost empty, I'm going to go ahead and just sacrifice the little bit of growth we've had from the peas. And I'm going to go ahead and add the amendment, and then we will reseed those in a few weeks. So let me explain how this process works. On many videos, I've shared with you that I have root knot nematode, and it is having an impact on my harvest. So I start off with a really great harvest, and then the plants start to slowly die away. So you guys have seen my okra, and so I've already replanted, and they're coming along fine. I'll give you an update on those. But I'm going to go ahead and pull that okra bed over there in the back corner. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to amend that bed with the product that we're going to be using today. So to bring me to the product, it is a mustard seed meal. And many people have shared with me, and I've even tried it myself, planting mustard greens in the bed where the okra is. And as you can see, that didn't take care of the root knot nematode. So I did some more research and I came across a company that sells mustard seed meal. So I'll let you see it when we get over to the bed. It seems like it's just like mustard seeds that's all ground up. However, it is a hot product. When I was reading some of the information, it did say you can go on the outskirts area of your plants, but not directly in the root vicinity of your plants. But I plant pretty heavy here, so if there's anything planted, there's going to be a lot planted. So I was waiting for the beds to become empty, and some things we're going to be pulling early in the next month. And then I'm going to amend it so that we can get rid of this root knot nematode. It's becoming a problem. And I'm wondering if that's what's wrong with my roselle. I'll let you guys take a look. Look at that. It's gone. That roselle plant there's no coming back. I've tried to fertilize it. I didn't water it. I kind of felt like it was overwatered. So I didn't water it more than what we have been normally, but I'm not quite sure. I don't think, well, I know that's not coming back. I love to say I think, but I know that's not coming back. So I'm waiting to see when I pull that, what the roots look like, because if I have to amend this bed, we will do so. This is 2 roselle plants, which will be enough, to be honest with you. 1 roselle plant would be enough. But we're going to go ahead and clean that up. We'll take it out because it just looks horrible. So it doesn't lend to a beautiful sight. So we will eventually take that out pretty soon. But let's head over to Bedside Lane and let's start on the 2 beds in that area. And then we'll move back to where the okra plants are. Today we're talking about something that might not sound very exciting, but your garden might love it. Mustard meal fertilizer. If you're looking for an organic way to give your soil a boost while also addressing some of those garden pests like root knot nematodes, mustard meal might be worth adding to your garden routine. So let's talk about what it is, what it does, and how I'm using it in my garden. Mustard meal is made from leftover mustard seeds after the oil has been extracted. The seed material is then ground into meal that can be used as a soil amendment and fertilizer. One of the things I like about it is that it's not just feeding the plants, it's also feeding and improving the soil. As I've said before, Healthier soil means healthier plants. One major benefit of mustard meal is that it provides nutrients that plants need for growth. It can also provide nitrogen and other nutrients that help support healthy plant growth. But here's where it gets very interesting. I'll keep it simple. Mustard meal can help create an environment that's less friendly to certain soil pests and organisms. Now I want to make it clear that mustard meal isn't a magic pest control solution. I wish it was that simple. It won't eliminate every bug in your garden, and it's not a replacement for every pest management method. But as part of your overall garden routine, it can be another useful tool. And because you're incorporating organic material into the soil, you're also adding something that contributes to the overall soil health. When using mustard meal, always check the label on the product you're using because application amounts can vary. For example, product recommendation is 1 pound per 45 square feet. You'll want to calculate the amount based on the actual size of your garden bed. For an estimated 24 square foot area that I'm growing in, that works out roughly 8.5 ounces. But if you know me like I think you know me, okay, with that being said, I'm going to spread it evenly over the soil and incorporate it according to the product's direction. And remember, more isn't necessarily better. Follow the recommendation application amounts because mustard meal can be strong stuff. I plan on allowing mine to break down for the full 3 weeks recommendation, if not a little bit longer. I like having another natural option that can help provide nutrients while supporting the soil and potentially helping with certain soil pests. Gardening is always a little bit of experimenting, learning, and figuring out what works best in your own garden. So have you ever tried mustard meal in your garden? If so, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how it worked for you. I want to thank Farm Fuel for sponsoring this video and offering my subscribers 10% off your order. At checkout, just enter my code KSGarden10. I will include their information and my code in the description. All right, guys, you've seen what I've done. I'm going to repeat it 2 more times. So I'm going to pause you here while I just do this section and I'll meet you over where the banana peppers were planted. Okay, we're over here in this small bed that I had banana peppers. And you guys were with me when we pulled those. I couldn't understand why it was dying back. And come to find out, when we pulled them, it was root, not nematode. Now, this is carrot tops. I'm going to chop this up. We're going to just mix this in along with the straw. I'm not going to pull that out. I don't know if you guys can hear that playing, but sorry. I'm struggling with my mic these last few weeks. Trying to figure out what setting it's on. But you guys were with me in the August garden tour. We pulled up a couple carrots. And these were the tops. So I'm just going to let those compost in this bed. Let's take out some of our extra decorations here. And I am putting the watering irrigation back so that this will need to sit for 3 weeks before I can plant in it. 2.5 to 3 weeks. And because I am feeding this pretty heavy with the mustard meal, I'm gonna do my best to go 3 weeks. I'm not making any promises, but I'm gonna try my best. We have plenty of time, so it's not like I just have to get it in. Because I try to stay organized, but when I do one thing out of the norm, it just throws everything off. Okay, Let's see if we can loosen up this soil a little bit first, and then it'd be easier to kind of mix it in. I might have to sacrifice these snapdragons. I don't want to, but if I don't treat the entire bed, then it's very likely they just move from over here into this part of the bed. I'm putting the straw kind of at the base of the snapdragons, and what I'm going to do is sprinkle some of this on top of it, so when it rains or it waters, the bed waters, or that was a frog. Where did you go? Can you move? Can you move? So I just moved all the straw over into the snapdragons. I may have to sacrifice these snapdragons because I do want to sprinkle some of this mustard meal in here without digging them up. And if it does take them out, we'll know probably within the first week. And then I'll pull them and just really amend the bed better. But they're well established. They've been coming back for the last few years, and I really don't want to get rid of them. They do flower throughout the year, and usually snapdragons do not like the heat. There's no shade over here, but in the spring and fall, man, this is a beautiful sight. All right, let's go ahead and let's just do this the easy route. It doesn't always spread as even as I like, but I guess we can move it around when I pour it. Okay, it looks like a lot, but it's a very thin layer. It's not coming out a lot, but it's okay. I want to get rid of root knot nematodes. Because that frog scared me to death. That's what I'm talking about. It's not so much that I think it's going to hurt me. It's just that it jumped out. And when I came over here, I kind of banged around and stepped on. I have a board to try to suppress the weeds at the base of this bed, because when they cut the grass flies over here. So I kind of figured there's always any kind of crevice, there's going to be a frog. So I tried to let them know I'm here, and it jumped down on my foot. All right, guys, I think we got this bed mixed in well. Let's see. I'll probably need to go ahead and check and see if they have the straw on sale, because I will need to probably re-straw quite a few beds. We've added some mustard meal fertilizer over here in this section, and I just put it on top of the straw, and as it rains or the bed is watered, it will just kind of soak down in the soil. Again, if we lose these snapdragons, I can always replant, especially because we're moving into the colder season. You know, it's not that much of a sacrifice. If I was going into spring, it would be different, but we're going to miss fall, but we don't have a very long fall, so we'll be fine. All right, guys, so this bed is complete. We've added back our water emitters. We have 2 in this bed, and I'm going to add back our cute little ladybugs in I've showed you guys this before, but in my subdivision, we have a gardening club, and one year someone donated these cute little tags, and it says love grows here, and it's a hard plastic. They had some wood ones. They broke down very easy, like not even a full season. But these have lasted for years. I've had these for years. I should probably try to find out where they actually purchased those, because that's why they were over here. I was like, why is something looks like it's missing? our light. And I got to put that back correctly because Rod just came out the other night and was checking all the lights. All right, guys, we have one more bed that we're going to tackle, which is the okra bed. And we'll have 2 down. I was looking over at the eggplants, which is just behind this bed. And I see 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 eggplants that could be harvested. That plant doesn't look so good either. I do have another Jasper eggplant that's growing over in the sweet potato bed. I don't know. I really don't want to get rid of those. I need to amend this bed as well, but I don't want to get rid of those eggplants because they're producing just fine. I need to look and see what I'm planting in this bed. That will determine what I'm going to do. I might end up just doing the front portion of the bed and then the back part of the bed maybe a few weeks later. We'll see. I can't remember what we're planting in that bed, but we'll come back to it. All right, guys, we're going to head over to the okra, but before we do that, I can reach those sun gold tomatoes and they look great. Those are producing pretty large. They almost look like the ones that we're producing in the fall. We're going to harvest that. Even though that plant has had its fair share of abuse. Speaking of sun gold tomato plants, look how this one has truly started to bounce back. And it's got a lot of new growth on it. I'm even seeing, I don't know if you can see that behind the basils behind it. So it all looks very green, but it's starting to flower. And the one over in the back there, it actually is starting to grow additional leaves. And then I did plant that new one right there. So that's a sun gold. That's a new one that I purchased. So we have 3, and if you still include this one, we have 4. So we'll get some sun gold tomatoes for the fall. Let's head over to that bed over there where we see the okra. Okay, guys, before we head over to the okra bed, this is the spot where we had the green stalk. So we removed it and moved it over to the patio with the other green stalks. And this bed will be coming out next, maybe the next video or so. But we're going to remove this bed. We're going to move it to another place in the garden. And I purchased another bed that we're going to put over here. So it'll have a little bit more room for us to move between the beds, which will be great for harvesting. And it'll also be great for us to be able to get back here to make sure we clean up weeds. Because when you have taller weeds like this, they drop seed into the bed, and that's how I get so much weed, especially in this smaller bed here. That's why we're moving it, because of all the weeds along the back. See back there behind the okra bed? And so Rod is really great about going back there and getting it, but we need to do something to try to prevent that. All right, let me set you guys up right here. Let me find a spot for you. This might be the perfect spot. Let me get you out of the sun though. All right, so let's go ahead and let me pull one up so you can take a look. I'm going to break one of my golden rules, and when I pull this up, I'm just going to drop it on the ground. We'll come back and clean this up later. We need to get through this process. All right, so here is just off the first one. I won't need to show you every one of them. But look at the root system on this. Not great at all. And you can see where there's like knots on the roots. There we go. This is probably not as bad as some of the others. This, you can see it here. But this is what's causing all the drama. I'll show you one more because this one is very noticeable. You see all those knots? So what happens is, I've explained this before, the root knot nematode goes up into the roots and they feed off the nutrients from inside the roots, and that prevents the roots from carrying what it needs up to the plant. So eventually, if the plant is starving, it dies. And these have been dying off pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to speed you guys up really quick. Man, this one's pretty bad. I'm going to put you guys in time lapse and just pull the rest of these, because if not, I'll show you each one of them individually. All right, guys, so we got them all pulled up except for one. It actually still has okra on it, and I'm going to leave it. However, I still will amend this bed very well. I want to take the straw off and put it back on, just to protect the bed from weeds. And I will spray or sprinkle. I will sprinkle some of the mustard meal on top of it. I'm only saving this straw because there's a lot on here, and so I can reuse this. The other beds I mixed it in because it wasn't that much, and it will just be organic matter in the soil, which is good for the soil. All right, guys, we're going to move quickly because the sun is coming. All right, we have our mustard meal. This bed is getting a good working. It's probably the worst bed I have in the garden when it comes to root knot nematodes. All right, let's try to work this in. This would have been much faster if I had my rake. I think I'm going to go grab the rake. Much easier and faster. And I can get it down in there good. The interesting thing is, look at that root. I'm just so taken back by what it does to the root. I keep showing it to you guys out of disbelief. And then I'm going to put the straw back on top of this. Now, the plan is to do this again in winter. So once the things die back from a hard frost, we're going to almost empty out the beds. And you guys are just going to hang out with me doing nothing. Because I want to make sure that next spring and fall, we are not having this issue. So this is, for me, just round one. So depending on how bad you have it, you may want to think about doing multiple rounds. Or you may be lucky enough just to have to just do one. See, there is a lot of straw in this bed. And now, since it's going to stay empty for 3 weeks, we want to make sure we don't have any weeds. I'm going to get the emitters back in this bed, and then we may be wrapping this one up. All right, let's get everything put up, and I will meet you over on the patio. Our 3 beds are done. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and end the video here. I really am glad I got those bed amended. I've had the product for about, I don't know, not a week, but since I have to wait 3 weeks before planting, I really needed to get that out. So I'm really glad we got that accomplished. I don't feel bad about pulling up those pepper plants or pulling out the English peas, because I know in the end I'm going to have a better product. So when I purchased the product, I actually purchased a 145-pound bag. And Rod said, "What are you going to do with all that?" If I'm going to do this again in the late winter, that 145-pound bag will definitely be used. So I will link their information in the description, and I will also put here the copy of the slip that came with the package. But please give them a call, go to their website. You can take a look at some of the additional information. And if you're in the market for mustard meal fertilizer to take care of your root knot nematode, then I encourage you to do so. So in addition to the mustard meal, as I'm planting, I will be using the crab, I think it's lobster and crab or crab and lobster shell. It is not a hot fertilizer, and I can plant directly into it. So that will also help control the root knot nematodes throughout the growing season. So if they do rear their little ugly heads, then hopefully the lobster and crab fertilizer, which is by Neptune, the one that I have is by Neptune. And so I just ordered it off of, I think, Amazon, but you can also Google and look. I will, if I do locate, I'll put the link in the description. For the mustard meal, I did purchase I actually purchased 145 bags of both of them, to be honest with you, because I do believe this is more than a one-time process. And so I want to control that. It is different seeing a pest or something on the outside of your plant that you can spray or, you know, squish or whatever, shoo away. But when it's in your soil and you can't see if that's what it is, you pull up a plant and it's not root knot nematode. So you've now just destroyed your plant. So I feel like this is something that's very important for me to address. It's very important for me to take care of. And so that is what I am doing. Thank you very much for hanging out with me as we did this little morning project. I do need to get to work. It is probably wrapping up right at 8 o'clock. So I do need to freshen up and get online. So if you haven't had an opportunity to like the video, please do so. Add a comment. Let me know if you're going to be trying the mustard meal, if you're having issues with root knot nematode, or if you're using something else. What is another option, not only for me, for others that may want to address this issue? And share with a friend. They also may be having an issue with root knot nematode. And most importantly, guys, subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.